People think disability is inspirational. Fuck that shit.
There it is.
So today's episode is about I guess you could call it the origin story for what started my interest in the sport of hockey. So this whole thing started, I think it was last academic term, but I had an epiphany that I don't interact with, and I think you as well, we don't interact with too many students outside of the music program or the department and the music building up at college. And you suggested that, you know, if you want to go meet people outside of that program, not people that are not music majors or in the music ensembles, which is a very bare minimum of students that are majors other than something music related, that are in the ensembles and choirs and things like that. And you were like, you know, if you want to meet more people, when I go to sports events like the basketball games on campus and things like that, I see a great number of different mix of different students outside of the music department. And I believe that was the case because I went with you to a few of the free hot dog basketball games, and looking around at the crowd, there's a great number of students across all sorts of different majors and a variety of majors. So I'm like, okay, he does have a point. That would be an ideal way to go meet students outside of music majors and minors and things like that. And I was also thinking, not all of the sporting events are directly on our college's campus. Some of them are off campus, 15, 20 minutes away. In that academic term, my family, we brought up a wheelchair accessible van with us that we got for a really good deal from another Duchenne muscular dystrophy family who were looking to get rid of their van and upgrade to a newer model, which this van was a little bit of an older model, clearly used and on its, I would say, a little bit of its last legs, but it got the job done. And I'm like, okay, we brought this van up here on campus so my friends could take me around to different off-campus events. And I would say that year you were the main guy that did all the driving. Not many other students could drive or were comfortable having the responsibility of taking a crippled man around campus. Didn't want to get in an accident.
Oh, I mean, I mostly drove because I didn't trust anyone else. I mean,
yeah, that too.
Not going to name names, but yeah, I was the only person that should have had a license in that group.
Yeah, and this past year we tried going to a couple sporting events, and I talked to some of the people in our friend group who were still on campus that year, and they were also like, I was not too trustworthy of them as drivers, but also they were like terrified that they were going to get in an accident and I was going to die. I'm like, I'm already at half life expectancy as it is. So if I die 10 years earlier, whatever. It's not going to be the end of the world. I had a good life going for me right now. Yeah,
I didn't know that's what you were thinking about when I got in the van. I didn't know that's what's going through your head.
I said to them because they were like afraid. I don't want to be liable if I get in an accident and like you get seriously hurt. I'm like, yeah, I'm whatever. Shave off 10 years, big deal.
that was your reassurance.
Yeah, that was how I tried to reassure them. Did not really work. So. But speaking of, so we were like, okay, go to sporting events. And me, I am not really that big of a sporting person. Throughout like my whole childhood, my parents and my brother were big into sports. I was the only outlier. I was like, I do not want anything to do with this. We only had one TV in the house with our video game setup back then. And when football was on, video games, yeah, you were shit out of luck if you wanted to play. It was football all the time. And then on Saturday morning, my brother would wake up at the crack ass of dawn to watch English Premier League soccer. Sucked even more. But the one sport I would say I sort of enjoyed back then was ice hockey. I thought it was interesting enough that it would hold my attention for like the 10, 15 minutes that it would be on as I was like passing by my parents' bedroom or the main TV in the house. Football, though, that would like take, I got to move this straw. It's making weird noises in the mic. But yeah, football games, that could barely even hold me for 5 minutes. During the Super Bowl, I would only watch just because I thought the commercials were fun. I would bring like my 3DS with me and play that through the whole game and just turn it off to watch the commercials. But I was like, okay, why don't I start going to ice hockey games? That I semi-enjoyed it when I was younger. Maybe I'll get into it now. And I, at the time, thought a lot of the players on the women's hockey team in particular were cute. And I figured attending some of these games would give me more of a reason or something to strike up a conversation with any of the players if an opportunity ever arose. And I felt guilty admitting that for the longest time because it sounds shallow, still now sounds a little shallow and fake, but it was the truth. That was one of the motivations for going to the hockey games besides meeting students outside of the music department. But this is Adaptive AF where disability runs unfiltered, so I can't sugarcoat anything. I got to tell you how it is. But even so, I did not expect myself to get into hockey to the extent that I did. And I feel like with you, you would go with me to the games, again, trying to meet people outside of the department, but also just being more of my wingman with that stuff. And it seemed like you got into the sport maybe to lesser of an extent as me, but you still thought it was a pretty interesting sport and engaging sport to enjoy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was just happy to be off campus. I thought it was hilarious. Once I knew, like, I was like, do you actually like hockey? You're like, yeah, but there's other reasons.
Yeah. Suffice it to say that nothing really amounted to anything within that department, but still like the sport. That was now in hindsight, I would say getting into hockey was the sole benefit of the whole thing. But the first weekend of the spring 2025 semester, there was a home game for the women's hockey team. So we decided, you know what? You've been talking about this, Elliott, for weeks about wanting to go to these hockey games. Either shit or get off the pot. It's available to go to the games now. So just suck it up and go. But given my ulterior motive, you and I both felt strange going just the two of us to these games. So we're like, okay, maybe it'll be a little less weird if we have some of our friends go with us. So we were like, okay, let's see if some of our people in our friend group would like to go to these games. And fortunately for us, that did happen. We had a group of 2 people consistently, 3 every now and then, 3, 4. But we had people to go with us, so it wasn't just the 2 of us. Right, that was essentially how it happened.
Yeah, we had about the same group usually.
Yeah.
We got pretty good at strapping you into the van. We were kind of like a little pit crew.
Yeah.
And I got really good at scratching the bottom of the van on all the potholes on the way to the ice rink. I was pretty good at that.
I'm surprised how low that van actually was. I don't know if it was like because it was older and it was sagging a little bit, but yeah, every like little bit of a bump, it was like scraping under there.
Bad. It wasn't like it was definitely damaged the car. Do you remember all the times I drove on the highway and I couldn't find where the lights were?
Yeah.
We were just driving in the dark. Yeah, my
or
bad.
the lights
my
would
bad.
just go off in the middle of driving.
Yeah, you would hit a switch and all of a sudden it's like no light control. And you just have to hit every button on the console until something lit up.
Yeah. But anyway, this the hockey arena where they play is not on campus. And looking around on campus, I'm like, I've been inside of the athletic building. I've been around all stretches of campus. Nowhere is there a hockey arena, so it has to be off campus. But the arena itself was about a 15-minute drive away. But even so, it still ended up taking us about half an hour to get there the first time we went to the game, because it was next to impossible to find where the parking lot was for the game, or even where the actual arena was for the hockey game, which was incredible. Like, when we were leaving, the game starts about like at 7 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, if it's 15 minutes away, I could leave at 6:30 and get there with plenty of time to spare. And if we leave a little late, still have plenty of time to spare if it's like 5 minutes late. I think we ended up leaving 10 minutes late that day. But even so, by the time we got to the game, we walked in on the first intermission actually, I think it was in the middle of the second period. Still very incredible to go see.
Yeah, I don't think we ever got anywhere on time.
No.
We just kind of showed up in the middle of it.
Yeah, the first game I got to on time was after my accident that we talked about in the first episode. But I took the fall semester off because I missed about a month of the beginning of the semester just being in the hospital. But Dad was nice enough where he drove me up to one of the college hockey games. And that was the first game I ever been to where I actually got to see the whole like starting stuff, the national anthem, both of them, all that stuff. That was the first time that ever happened. I think the earliest we got to it that year was maybe about halfway through the first period. But when you walk into this arena, you're not even in the seating area, and you're immediately entranced with the atmosphere of the game. You're hearing like skates making noise all around, the hockey sticks making contact with the ice, making contact with the puck, shooting the puck around, all the players yelling at each other to communicate just across the rink, like, look out behind you, watch the boards. There's like defensemen up ahead here, whatever. And not even to mention that, you walk into the seating area and you realize that the arena itself was constructed in 1936. So it's a very old, historic feeling kind of hockey arena. And I think, not trying to speak for you, but that was like one of the aspects of going to the games you enjoyed the most, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, you walk in and it's almost like an apocalyptic like fallout shelter, but there's a hockey rink in the center of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And also what I thought was cool about that too is, like, if you're looking at most college hockey arenas in that division of the conference, a lot of them are really rather small or don't look like big time hockey arenas, because this building used to be used for the local AHL hockey team. So it still was like a large arena sized, professional sized hockey arena. So it's incredibly awesome to go into that environment and you feel like you're at one of the NHL games or minor league hockey games. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's a huge stadium, but like, you know, just the time of year and like just a local college team playing, there's maybe like 50 to 100 people, maybe.
Yeah. And that might even be pushing it sometimes.
Yeah, for like a, like you said, like a professional size stadium is,
Yeah.
tons of empty seats, like 3 stories high.
Yeah, and I heard from somebody that they're like putting a hockey arena in the athletic building on campus. I'm like, why are you going to get rid of that really awesome looking, historic looking arena? It was like so cool. And what also I would say sucked about it is there were probably more players people going to see the men's team, which don't get me wrong, they were, we'll get to that later about their performance that particular season. I think they were doing pretty decent this past academic term. But the women's team were really crushing it that year. So to me, it felt kind of a bit of a shame that less students just felt like were going to those games. But within the arena, like I was explaining, players were pretty vocal when communicating on the ice, whether it's between the coaching staff or just the players in general. And from what I remembered about hockey, watching it on TV with the televised NHL games when I was younger, I didn't recall hearing that level of communication amongst players on the broadcasts. So I assumed it was not standard practice for players to communicate like that, again, because I didn't hear it on the broadcasts. I guess there might be more in it. I just maybe wasn't paying attention to it as much in the professional televised games, or it's just harder to hear. But I remember during those games, I enjoyed the sounds of the stadium, much like within the college arena and the college games, whether it was the stick handling, the sound of the sticks against the pucks and the ice. But what I liked the most back then was the body checking, especially when players were body checked into the boards around the rink. But in the college games, and from what I've learned with this particular division and just college in general, or honestly just hockey in general, body checking is allowed within men's college hockey, but it is strictly prohibited in women's hockey. And even in the professional women's hockey league now, even some of the physical contact, there's still body checking, but more intensive physical contact that would be allowed or result in minor penalties in professional men's hockey games was toned down a lot and were treated with more severity in the women's team. I think there was an instance where there was a pretty big body check or physical contact in one of the games this past women's season, the professional women's season, and the player that initiated that contact was suspended for a few games. So it's a different kind of style of game, I would say. But even so, the environment of the women's hockey games and just the men's hockey games, whether it's professional, the college, etc., that atmosphere and energy of a hockey game is leagues beyond a football game, whether it's professional or even the football games we watched when we were involved in the marching band. You were like the same way. You were not too into football as well, if I remember.
No, I never could really get into it. I mean, we were in the marching band. We kind of made our own fun. There weren't many touchdowns, so we didn't play all that much.
Yeah.
But I did save you from a fly ball that one time. You remember that?
Yeah, that was a good story. Maybe something if I can work it into a podcast episode, that would be a funny story.
Yeah, they stuck the marching band on the field, but behind the goalpost. So every time they kicked, like it would head our way. And the one time it headed towards Elliott, and I had to jump in. I had the cymbals in my hand, so I didn't have any free hands. So I had to use my own instrument to knock the ball out of the way.
Yeah, the cymbals were a shield at that point.
Yeah, glad you were okay. Might have dented the cymbals, but
yeah, spiked my adrenaline a little bit.
Yeah, no, it was right towards you. It was going to hit you right in the head.
I think I might have like screamed really stupidly too.
you just kind of froze, like your eyes shot open. I'm like, uh-oh.
I saw it coming. I couldn't do anything about it. But this particular game, the first game we went to, I didn't realize, but there was an open skate afterward, which what that was is I found out later that both the college hockey teams do occasionally an open skate after the game, which essentially means spectators can go down, grab a pair of skates from wherever they're giving out skates to use, and you could go out, skate on the ice, potentially even hang out with some of the players if you wanted to, or talk to them. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the perfect opportunity to talk to some of these women's hockey players. Even so, I don't think I would have done that if I could get on the ice that night. So I'm like, I've only been to one of these games. I don't have enough to talk about with these players. I just been to these games, so couldn't tell you that. But that game, I could not figure out for the life of me how to get onto the ice. I think that night I asked one of the custodians there if there was an elevator or something. And he's like, unfortunately, there isn't an elevator. This hockey arena was built in 1936. I don't think they had elevators back then. So, but also later on, I was able to get onto the ice. Apparently you had to go like around the back of the stadium or something like that, but I was able to get onto the ice during one open skate this past academic term.
Wait, did you, like, you were on the ice?
Yeah.
Or you were, when did you get on the rink?
That was the first game of the spring semester. It was a men's hockey game, but it was a fundraiser game for, they do like there's apparently a program where young disabled people can become an honorary member of a collegiate sports team. So there was a guy with the team with my same condition, Duchenne muscular dystrophy, and they did a Duchenne fundraiser awareness game. So that was the game I was able to get down onto the ice, which was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How is it driving on the ice? Like, did you slip or is it
not
easy?
At all?
Okay.
It was awesome. I don't know if it was like the treads on my wheelchair wheels or whatever it was, but no, not a problem with. I thought it would be more slippery, but it wasn't at all, which was really, really awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. But I think after that game and that open skate, you and I and some of those people that we go to games with, we went to a home hockey game at that arena about every weekend for the remainder of the season that was going on that semester, which was a lot of fun. And we saw about the fair mix of men's and women's hockey games because both hockey teams shared the same arena, so they alternate weekends when they're playing and down in that arena. So we saw a fair share of both hockey teams performing and playing. And within that particular term, the men's team weren't as strong of a hockey team and playing as a team that semester. Not to say they were terrible, but they had, I would say, more significant number of losses that term season. But this past academic term, they appeared to have been playing a lot better and doing a lot better as a team. And you were going to say anything?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
I agree with you.
Yeah. But going to those home college games, that got me interested enough into hockey as a sport to the point where I started watching professional hockey games. For the NHL, I started following the Flyers pretty heavily because I am from around that area of Pennsylvania, and orange is one of my favorite colors, so it was like a no-brainer. That's your local hockey team. Their color is one of your favorite colors. Like, why wouldn't you follow the Philadelphia Flyers? And then on top of that, I also got into the Anaheim Ducks because they had recently, by recent, I think it was a few years actually, but they switched to orange as one of their primary colors because they're based out in Orange County. And I also thought it was incredibly cool that the Anaheim Ducks were established because of the Mighty Ducks Disney film. So I thought that was really cool. And then for the PWHL, which was the Professional Women's Hockey League, I started following the New York Sirens. If you're listening to this and like, why are you following New York if you're based out of Pennsylvania? The thing with that league was that the PW was established recently, back in 2023. And as of right now, there are only 16 teams. As of then, there were about 6 teams in the league, and New York was the closest team to Pennsylvania. In fact, I think that team plays at the Prudential Center down in New Jersey. And why I started watching women's hockey was because, like, being a disabled person, I feel like I like to follow other minority communities of sports and whatever, and following the women's team because it's looked at a little bit less or not followed as in depth as the National Hockey League. I decided I should start watching their games. Now, that being said, I watch more NHL games than the PWHL because both games often occur at the same time. And as I explained, there aren't any PA teams for that women's league yet. But when they do establish a Philadelphia team, I will likely watch more of their games. I will say, though, I do still watch PWHL now, but not as much as I do the National Hockey League. You got anything you want to add to that?
No, I've only ever watched the hockey games that we went to. I never watch it on TV.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know the rules. You tried to explain offsides and icing to me one time, and I'm like, nope, I don't get it. But
yeah,
that's on me.
Yeah, I got to the point. I bought like the Hockey for Dummies book, and I read it like a few times. But even then, I'm like, still isn't clicking all the way.
Yeah, I mean, one, like, we were hanging out. You needed someone to drive the van. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. But yeah, watching the games, I'm like, all right, they're down like 1-1 or 1-2, and then the ref blows a whistle. I'm like, I have no idea what happened. Not sure.
Yeah, and I think back then I still was still a bit of a novice with the sport, so I at times didn't even know what was going on there either. I'd say now I'm a little more in tune with it, but even so, I don't think I'm at a level of someone who's been watching the sport since they were a kid. But beyond that experience, there are a few other notable game experiences I would say we could talk about within this episode. The first being the one of the games we went to. Again, after the first game I've been to and that first game experience, we decided to look into the calendar for the women's team or the men's hockey team and just see what games, if there were other games we definitely wanted to go to make sure we kept that time available within our schedules. And I was also thinking that just going to one game was not enough of an experience for me to strike up a conversation if the opportunity arose ever. And we were looking at the calendar and we found a game on February 14th. We're like, okay, which was Valentine's Day. And I'm like, okay, we should go to that one. And you're like, oh, yeah, sure, you want to go to that game, Elliott. But just you and I went to this game because both of our friends and the people we were going with at that time were either busy doing other stuff, and some of the friends we consistently went to, they had plans with their boyfriends that night, obviously. And you and I also didn't have any dates to take with us to the game, so it just ended up you and I just went to the game by ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing this up. This is a fun one to talk about. Yeah, all of our friends had dates, and they were going to do anything else except go to the ice hockey game. You were like, "Yeah, I want to go to the game. Let's go talk to the girls on the team." I'm like, "You're not going to talk to them." They're like, wait, did you talk to any of them on the team that day?
No.
You know who you did talk to? An old man that said,
"Yeah."
An old. Oh, yeah, he's a. Yeah, there's an old man who's kind of a legend at our school. He takes complimentary classes and just causes a scene every class.
Yeah, I would say the best way to describe him, even though it's like slightly mean but also a good bit accurate. If you've ever seen Family Guy and there's that Herbert the pervert character on the show, imagine him. This is basically what this guy was.
He's not
college.
Yeah,
you go ahead.
He's not that bad, but it's not a terrible description.
Yeah, not completely off base of a description. But our college has a program where senior home residents at a local senior home, they're allowed to audit some of our classes, and he was one of the residents of that senior home that frequented campus a lot more than any other senior home resident involved with that program. So we're there at the game. I think it might have been during one of the intermissions, but this guy comes up to us and he's like, "Hey, happy Thanksgiving," on Valentine's Day. And he's wearing a heart pattern scarf. I'm like, I think part of you knew that today was Valentine's Day. I don't know if you were just a little flustered and said happy Thanksgiving, but a bit of an interesting interaction. Not bad.
I think he's delusional.
Yeah. He's like, happy Thanksgiving. I'm like, it's okay. It's Valentine's Day, but sure. Thanksgiving happened Christmas. 4 months ago, but sure. And I don't want to make fun of it too much because I don't know if that was just him getting all flustered or a bit of dementia. But even so, I doubt he has that much onset dementia if he's taking these courses. And he was
I swear he just loves the attention.
Yeah.
We probably can't talk about this, but I think it was him, right? At one of the lectures about past racism in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
You know where I'm going with this? You remember?
Yeah.
He was protesting.
Yeah, they're like, he's like, what's so bad about this? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's like, what's so bad about blackface? I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have to go back through and scrub through this section of the episode.
No, keep that in there. That was gold.
Yeah. But the fact that he was at that game and again, the Family Guy analogy I gave was probably a strong indication that it was a little weird that you and I went to this game, and especially that I wanted to go to this particular game on this particular day of the February calendar. But yeah, that was about the most of what I remember from that particular game that we went to. We also later in the season, as it was becoming more and more clear that there were fewer women's hockey games left to watch and just hockey games with that college and the season left to watch in general. Okay, I would like to go to more of these games. There's only a couple left. I'd like to do more than how many of the home games that are left, go to more of them. And we decided for one of the away games to drive up to that game instead of going to a home men's game, especially since within that season, the women's team were playing a better game and a more high energy game than the men's team. Nothing against the men's team, but one of them was slightly more entertaining. But if we were going to go to an away game, this particular game that we decided to, the arena was only about an hour drive away from our campus. So if there's a game to go to, this is the one to attend. The ride wasn't terrible. It was manageable. But we get to this arena for this away game, and you get into the arena, and it is freezing cold in this arena. And any of you listening who's like, what the hell else did you expect? It's ice hockey. They have to keep the ice cold. Of course it's going to be freezing in the arena. Now, that being said, our college arena, I don't know if it was the fact that it was an older arena or just that it was a larger arena, but it was on the warmer side of this division of the college sport, their arenas. It was one of the warmer ones. In fact, the first game we went to in our arena, I assumed it would be really cold because it was ice hockey. And I wore 3 layers to that first game. And one of them was like a sweatshirt, and then on top of that, a heated vest. And I think I was sweating so bad, I asked you to unzip it. And you described it when you unzipped it, it was like opening up a baked potato. There's like steam pouring out, flying everywhere.
Yeah, it was like somebody microwaved you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. I thought it was hilarious. Like in hindsight, hilarious. In the moment, maybe not, because I was like a baked potato at that point. But so naturally, I started wearing lighter clothing to all future hockey games at this arena, because I'm like, it's on the warmer side. I could survive with just a single long sleeve shirt. I'll be fine. But seeing as this particular arena was much closer to the rink, it created a much more colder environment, felt colder in the arena, but at the same time, it also created a more energetic and engaging environment to watch hockey in, because you're much closer to the action. Now, the women's team at this particular game, they unfortunately lost in overtime. But that being said, they made it to overtime, which meant if you've ever watched hockey, they were doing well enough that they had to push the game longer because they were holding out against the other team, keeping it tied for up until the end of regulation time. This game, even though they lost, it was definitely more entertaining to watch than the men's home game, because that particular night the men's team lost 5-1, whereas the women's team only lost by 1 goal in overtime. So then that was that game. They lost. And then I think we were like driving back home when we realized they lost. The men's team lost 5-1 that night at home. And I think some of our friends was like, see, isn't it better that we went to the women's game instead of the men's team game, because the women's team performed better.
Yeah, they were a much better team that season. I thought they were more fun to watch. They actually looked like they were playing the sport, not just trying to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I would say the men's team were definitely more focused on the physicality of it last term, which is also what I would say about hockey in general. That's why when you're watching women's hockey, it's a little bit more of a there's more finesse involved in it, because the physicality is pulled back a little bit. And then another great game experience that particular season was the semifinals game for the women's team, which in and of itself, clearly they were performing better that season because they were the only hockey team in our college that year that made it to the semifinals of that division. But we decided to travel to that divisional semifinals during our spring break because one of our friends, she was still up on campus during spring break. You were a commuter, so campus was not that far away from you to get to it. And I was at home for the spring break. And all in all, the arena was about an hour and a half drive for both of us, both ways, from me, from my home to the arena, and you guys from campus up to the arena. And this arena, which I thought was nice, had a wheelchair lift up to the seating area. So I didn't have to watch it from the sidelines and not get as good of an experience as everyone else watching the game. So that was a nice thing to experience, which is also what I would say about the our college's arena. It was high enough where I could see the action well enough. Now, during this game, one of the players was tripped on a breakaway and was not awarded a penalty shot, which, from what I know about hockey, that when there's a trip or a player is impeded on a breakaway, that's when a ref should award a penalty shot. Of course, the penalty shot was not awarded in that game, which for me, I felt like was part of the reason why our team lost that game. I don't recall exactly if that loss was during an overtime. It was an overtime loss or a regulation loss. But regardless, that loss in that game was a tough loss in general. Do you remember anything else about that game in particular? That semifinals game that I'm missing?
To be fair, I don't remember anything about the game. I remember I remember almost dying on the way to the game and back home. And yes, they are still our friend, but if someone offers to drive you somewhere and it's a long distance, yeah, just go with your gut.
Yeah. I remember you texting me because after this game, you two came back to our house, my house, to just hang out for a bit. I think we ordered a pizza or something. And I remember, like, on your way back or like before you left, I got a text. I'm playing video games in my room. And you're like, dude, I am fearing for my life over here. I am like, I doubt I will be able to take a nap on the way home. It's like 11 p.m. and I can't even start sleeping because, like, she's driving halfway between the what do they call that part of the road where it's like the white line on the outside of the road?
She was everywhere except on the road. Okay, it's a road. Okay, you have the yellow line and the white line. All you got to do is stay in between it. She was in the grass, running over bushes, past the white line, past the little like treads. So if you fall asleep, you wake up. Like we were hitting shit that wasn't even near the road. And you know, we get through all this, and I'm stressed. I went completely radio silent. I didn't say a word. We just kept missing stops and streets because they refused to look at the GPS. We didn't know where we were going. We did make it back home. Obviously, we didn't crash. But like when I thought it was all said and done, we're going back through the final intersection. The school is right there, and we almost ran two people over because they weren't looking.
The ending was in sight.
Yeah. I thought it was over.
Yeah.
That time I was like, hey, stop. Yep.
Yeah, I think that night I might have stayed up late because I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to sleep because I'll be thinking about all night. Did they get in an accident? Are they dead? Are they still alive? Are they hospitalized? So I either like kept staying up or I was like, okay, I'll just do my best to be chill and just wait. And hopefully he texts me by the morning that he got home safe, which I think he did.
Yeah. If you get in an Uber and you say, hi, how's your day? And they go, oh, good. This is my first time driving on the highway. Go home. Just go home. Don't do it. It's going to end up how you think it's going to go.
Is that what she said? This is my first time on the highway.
Yeah. I was like, they were being nice. They wanted to drive. So I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. And that was a mistake. So sorry to our friend, but yeah, that was a rough drive.
Yeah, got your blood pressure spiking. I would say she's a incredibly nice friend of ours, but yeah, I would say that was. I mean, she drove me this past year because I didn't have much of a choice to get to one of the games. I was comfortable with that because it wasn't like an hour and a half drive too. That's what I would say more of the issue was with you. It was just that it was a longer drive. So that was partly as well where part of that stress came in.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. If you're listening, I don't want to dog on you anymore. Greatly appreciated that you drove Dave up to this game, that you drove me to one of the games this past semester. It was greatly appreciated. But anyway, that semifinals game was our last game of that particular season, the last game we went to during the spring 25 semester. And I think it's crazy just in general how we went from getting lost trying to find the hockey arena, the home hockey arena, to planning our whole weekends around a hockey game. Is there anything else like you think was worth mentioning about the hockey experiences this past the spring 25 semester?
Well, it's just going back to your point. Like, we were trying to get out of the building we spend 24 hours in every day. But looking back, I don't think we ever met anyone new. Like, we only took the friends that we already had. It made us close. Like, we made memories out of it. There were definitely fun times, but nobody met anyone new. You got to, I think you eventually did get to meet some of the players, but that was because the friends we already had, they were their classmates in like some of their regular classes, right?
Yeah, I think one of them also asked them, the team, if some of the players could see me while I was up in the hospital after my accident. I forget if I mentioned that at all in the first episode. Unfortunately, because I was on like feeding tubes and all sorts of different meds, I shit my pants 5 minutes before they showed up and was sitting in a stink for like the whole 15 minutes they were there so visiting. Terrible. Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
But it is what it is. I'm not going to likely see many of these players or students again. But yeah, hopefully they weren't noticing the shit smell too much. Yeah, I don't know. My dad noticed it because he asked me about it after they left. I'm like, well, shit. Maybe they did notice it. Anyway, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's very nice of them to go. Yeah. Sometimes when you really want, like, when your dreams come true, last thing you're expecting is to be in the ICU and shit yourself right before they walk in.
Yeah. Shit my pants before. Yeah, not if you'd asked me that last year, I would not think that's how things would have ended up.
No, that wasn't on your bingo card?
No, not on my 2025 bingo card. But what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, when they came to visit, though, they gave me the team signed a card for me, which I thought was really nice, and they gave me a jersey, which was also really cool. So now I have two of our college hockey jerseys, one from the women's team, and I bought one of the special edition jerseys that were available for bid at the Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy benefit game that was started that was January 2026. But anyway, looking back, it's honestly kind of funny why I started going to hockey games in the first place. Part of it was because I wanted to meet people outside of the music department, and yeah, part of it was because I thought a lot of the women's hockey players were cute. And I figured if I ever happened to run into one of these players around campus, wherever, at least I'd have something to talk to them about and more of a reason to strike up a conversation. Now, I don't really feel guilty admitting that anymore because somewhere along the line, hockey stopped being about that and just became more about following hockey as a sport in general. Now, I didn't just find another way to spend a Friday night. I found a sport that I genuinely enjoy watching. I went from someone who barely paid attention to hockey to someone who follows the Flyers, watches Ducks games, keeps up with the NHL, and actually looks forward to hockey season every year when it comes around. None of that was the initial plan. I guess the point of all this, though, is that sometimes the thing you think is just a means to an end ends up becoming something you genuinely care about. I went looking for a reason to meet more people outside of the music department and building, and I accidentally walked away with a hobby I'll probably have for the rest of my life. I think that, all in all, is pretty cool. This has been Adaptive AF. Thank you for listening.